All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be talking about building and setting up a customer support system in SharePoint today. I think this will be fun, and the great part about this is it's pretty easy to set up this kind of system. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's do some quick intros and groundwork just to get going. My name is Will Cooper. I am a SharePoint ninja. I eat and breathe all things SharePoint. I build SharePoint solutions. I live here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I work with the Infowise team. And to tell you about our team, we are about making it simple and easy, and we're about continuously improving our tools. Ultimate Forms is a full solution building platform that you can have in SharePoint. It's completely within the SharePoint user interface. It doesn't require any separate external tools, and there is no code whatsoever that you have to use in terms of working with these tools. To tell you a little bit more about myself, I also have a YouTube channel. I put out weekly videos, and if you want to look for that, it's SharePoint Smart. Just search for SharePoint Smart, 2 words, and then put channel, and you'll see it come right up. And in terms of our presentation today, I do want to let you know we're going to give away an embroidered shirt at the end of the presentation. Please stay along for that. That is limited to folks living in the United States just for postage reasons. We do have you guys on mute. However, we do want to hear from you. And the way that you can do that is to use the GoToWebinar chat. So please use that to answer your questions. Use the questions interface, and please be patient. If we don't get to it right away, I promise you that we will, and we'll spend some extra time at the end of the presentation to answer any outstanding questions. All right, so let's dive in. Ultimate Forms is a platform available both for our SharePoint Online folks and also for on-premise SharePoint. All of the things that I show you work in both versions for the most part. This particular tool that I'm showing is taking advantage of an external forms feature that is specifically available for SharePoint Online. But in terms of the workflow and other functionality, all of those things are available in both versions. And just to kind of give you some general perspective on how I think about these tools and SharePoint, SharePoint is a great platform and there's a lot of abilities with it. Otherwise, I wouldn't focus my attention on it. However, there are some limitations. Out of the box, SharePoint does not give you everything that you want or everything that you need. And that can be frustrating and confusing in terms of figuring out how to have solutions in SharePoint. And that's really where Ultimate Forms comes to the picture. It really fills in all those gaps. And the things that I'm going to show you today are utilizing those things so that we can have a complete solution and be able to do that easily. So Ultimate Forms, I do think of it like a Swiss Army knife in terms of it having a whole bunch of different functionality and features that I need. All right, so now we're going to talk specifically about what we're looking at today, which is having a customer support system in SharePoint. And these are some tenets of what we really want to make sure that we accomplish in having this type of system. First and foremost is that it must be easy for our customer. When I talk about customers, I'm talking about your customers that are reaching out to your organization for help. It really needs to be simple for them to use. A second key factor is communication. We want to make sure that you are communicating promptly and effectively to your customers as you're helping them on resolution of the issue, whatever that may be. Internally in your organization, you need to have effective tracking and transparency to know that when your customer makes a request, that you are responding in a timely manner, that it's being routed to the appropriate employee, and that you can check status and know that you're handling all of those requests, and be able to see that information very easily in your environment. So we're going to make sure we hit on those key goals. Okay, so as I say, making requests should be a piece of cake. I can't overemphasize this concept. The last thing you want to do is make it challenging for your customer to get help. This is something that should be familiar to all of us because we're often on the other side of the picture in terms of trying to get support from companies that provide services to us. So we really want to follow the golden rule and treat them as we want to be treated. We want to make it just as easy and fast as possible. Communication is key. As you're working with your customers, even the smallest updates, you want to communicate that back out to them. You want to demonstrate that there is progress happening and you're helping them with those issues. So whatever type of system we have, we need to make sure it automates that process and that we're providing updates, normally through email, to let them know that we're on the way to resolving their issue. Okay, and then the dashboard. So that's about the transparency and communication within your organization. We want to make sure the dashboards show those support tickets, and it's very easy and simple to manage that from within SharePoint. All right, here we go. We're going to get in customers requesting support, it says. Okay, so we're going to be the customer here. Okay, all right, so here we are. Enough of the PowerPoint slides. Here I am in SharePoint Online. This is just a regular modern team site in SharePoint, and I am going to go through the user interface first and help you quickly understand what it looks like from the customer perspective. Now, I want to emphasize this is a form that is surfaced externally through our tools, and it's easy to do that. You can embed it in your site, such as something like this, and all you have to do is put in a little snippet that we provide to you, or alternatively, you may simply link to the URL that we provide. I'll give you a little bit more about that later, but I want to make sure that you understand that the request is normally originating outside of SharePoint, and then it goes into your environment. What we're doing is simply surfacing this form that I'm going to get into. Okay, so let's make a new request. Let's just dive right in. So this form that I'm getting into is what your customer fills out to get help. And we did say we wanted to make sure this is very simple, and I hope as I'm filling this out, you'll agree that it is simple. Okay, so let me go ahead and fill out a request. And I'm just dummying in some information just for demonstration purposes. And we don't want to ask lots and lots of questions, just the basics. So those first fields are what are required. You may or may not need the address information. It depends on what type of system you're building, but we're simply providing the opportunity for them to do that if that's something that they want to provide. But notice that those are not required. Okay, and then all they do is just type in some details. Obviously, that is required. We need them to tell us what it is they want help with. Okay. So hopefully, so far you'll agree this is a simple request form for the customer to fill out. And then we've got some categories that'll help us for tracking and things like that. This is a quote request, so I'll change that over. We've got the opportunity, if they want to attach something to it, they could. And then at the bottom, you'll notice something interesting. It says request short. This is something automatically handled by the system because we want to show in the dashboard. What we don't want is a long running description of the request on the dashboard view. So this kind of provides a abbreviated version of the request. Okay, that's all that the customer had to do. So hopefully they should be in and out of that form in less than a minute. We didn't hit them with lots of questions. We made it very simple for them to do that kind of request. Here's another example. I'll show you another external site using the same type of thing. So really, we just want, maybe a half dozen fields or a little bit more, nothing extra. We don't want to hit them with a bunch of questions, just make it fast and easy for them to make a request. Okay, now, once they generate that request, that's all that the customer needs to do. It's going to auto-generate emails, and we'll be alerted to that in our system. So that's a key part of our system is naturally there's going to be lots of email notifications. So they're immediately going to get a confirmation. They'll be redirected to a confirmation form, and it tells them your support request has been submitted. And this is where we're starting to get to that second concept with this communication. And we wanted to provide those emails as there are updates. Okay. All right. So inside of SharePoint, this is where your support team is going to manage those requests. And as you can tell, I see all that key information on this dashboard. I can see the request types. I can see who it came from. I've got their email, phone number. I have lots of key information without even having to go down inside of those tickets. And then also I can see, what the status is of that. Okay, so this is the next step. After your customer makes that request, all the information they filled out is on the first tab. Notice on the top, on the banner, we have the customer name, the type of request, and then the status that it's currently in. Okay, so what needs to happen first? Well, we need to assign the request, right? And also, they may need to say whether this is a priority. Maybe this is going to be a big sale or something like that. Let's go ahead and say it is high priority. And we're going to assign it. I'll assign it to myself. And what I do is I just click Set Assign. Notice all these color buttons in the interface. This is a simple, easy to understand interface for your support team to process that ticket. So I just hit Set Assign, incredibly easy. And this is the routing. You're routing the ticket, making sure the right team member is going to handle that. And so that transparency, accountability, that's a key part of the system. If something's stalled out, we want to know who's supposed to be taking care of that issue, when it came in, stuff like that. If you have an eagle eye, you might have noticed that the status just updated. It was a new status. Now it updated to assign. That's because I hit that button, and you can see the priority flag there as well. Let's go back into the ticket. Notice the status updated in the upper right. And also, we have another really key concept. Remember I said tracking and transparency, those are important concepts. Not only do I know the current state, I've got logging to show me the history of everything that's going on with this. When did the ticket come in? When did we respond? This is going to become very important to you. Maybe you've got a customer who's frustrated. Maybe there's a problem in your team where someone is slow to respond for some reason. This history tracking is important. Every time there's updates in this ticket, we want to do some logging, and that is a part of this tool that I have set up. And I should mention, after this presentation today, we are going to provide this tool, the support tool, for free to download with the Ultimate Forms tool. All you have to do is set up a SharePoint site. You can click and download the solution, and we're going to have that available from our main window here. You'll be able to go to the Install Business solution and click on Webinars. There's the one we had for last month, Employee Review System, and it'll show up first on here. So that's a really cool thing. You don't even have to build out anything yourself. You can just download and install this system in your own tenant and just set it up however you want. Okay, let's do another step, okay? We mentioned communication is really, really important. As a customer, we don't need to hit them over the head with a whole pile of information, but they do like to know that you're working on the issue. If I don't hear anything when I make a support request for a long time, I start to think that nobody's working on it. And that probably is going to lead to more phone calls and wasted time, maybe double effort on your side. And that's not what you want. So that's why these updates are good. So I have this function in here for customer updates right in the middle of the form. It's a very simple concept. It's just instead of sending them an email directly, I'm logging in the ticket. So if I was individually emailing them, guess what? Nobody on my organization could see that. So you have no way to track it. If you're doing it through this instead, now you have some tracking and accountability. Okay, I am checking on the pricing and should be able to get back to you today. Okay, and I just click the button. Okay, easy, easy, easy. That's what you're going to hear me say more than anything today is easy. That's what we need to make it for both for the customer and for your support team. Okay, now that doesn't change the status. It just sends out a message to them. Okay, and we have email notifications going in all these different cases. Here's an example of when it gets assigned. It says your support request has been assigned. They're like, oh, okay, that's good. I like to see that as the customer. It tells me that they're working on it. Okay, internally, if it's been assigned, let's say that a manager has assigned this to me. Internally, I get an email that says, hey, a request was assigned to you. And in that email, I've even got an edit link, and I can click on that. It'll take me directly to the form. So, oh, I better start working on this. I've had this thing assigned. Okay. And then here's the updates. This is what the update looks like. So this is what our customer gets whenever I just did that little simple update. Hey, just want to know I'm checking on it. Again, it's just little short updates, just tells them that they're being paid attention to and it's going to get resolved. Okay. And so go back into the form and go back in here. Notice the history logging. It keeps updating the log. I know not just the current state. I know everything that's been happening leading up to that. That's really important, especially for a manager. Maybe I'm managing a team of 10 people in organizations that are routing these tickets or working on resolving these. And I want to make sure we're providing really good customer service. And I want to know why a particular ticket has closed out. This history is going to give me all that information that I want, all that granular detail. Okay, and then in the bottom here, this is the update that went out to the customer. I can see who made the update, exactly at what date and time. Okay, let's change status now. Okay, I've got the ticket, I'm working on it, and I hit send progress. Notice it didn't let me do that. We're wanting to emphasize communication, so it says, no, hold on, before you can do that, you need to provide some kind of update. So this is just some simple words up in there. Okay, so I say, I'm working on this issue and should have the pricing later today. Okay. Now this is like the customer update message. The difference is I said set in progress. That's a status change. This is a process that we're working through, and you can imagine it's like a train going down the track and it's moving to the next step. So what we're doing is updating the status, and that means it's going to change from assigned to in progress. It's working on it. Just going to give it a second. Okay, it's still working on that. Okay, let me go into another ticket as we're waiting for that one. Here's an in progress one. I have other options as well, right? So I could have in progress, hold, maybe it's canceled. Normally you're resolving the issue set to complete, but maybe we don't need to do that request, so there's some other kind of issue on it. Okay, hold's another example of something I might need to do. Need to wait on pricing coming from supplier. Maybe there's dependency or something like that. This is important. Like I say, I need to let my manager know I can't do anything else with this right now because it's on hold, right? Okay, so basically what you can see over here is we have status updating and changing according to the updates that I'm making. And another thing I might want to see is, some kind of diagram or charting. So another thing we have as part of the tool and in our platform is you can do charts. So I have a pie chart just to show me high level, how are we doing on our tickets? How many are open? How many are in progress, et cetera, stuff like that. Okay. All right, see how that changed to hold? I just set that one in hold. And then when you're done with the ticket, you can set it to complete, right? Okay, here's that update. Okay, I just emailed you the pricing. Let me know if there is, whoops. And I'm just saying set complete. That's how I closed out the ticket. Okay, so we want to be really efficient. We want to make sure it's real easy for our team members to make those updates. We don't want to give them any extraneous extra steps, that type of thing. Okay, notice the status updated to complete. Okay, and so those icons are easy to understand, that type of thing. Also, in my home dashboard, you notice I have all these tiles going to different things. Those are the different buckets. That's one way you might refer to it. So I can go to all the new tickets or in progress tickets. I don't want to look at all the tickets together. Especially maybe I don't need to look at all the complete tickets because that's kind of old news, so to speak. Or maybe I just want to look at my requests. Now these are all assigned to me, but this shows me just the requests that are assigned to me, so that's good. Maybe I don't want to see Sarah or Jim's requests. I just want to know the ones that I need to work on. If I want to look at new requests, these are the ones that need to be routed, right? So I could just jump to that. So I have all those filtered views, that type of thing. All right, so now we've kind of looked at what it's like from both the customer perspective and from your team members' perspective. Let's talk about how this works behind the scenes and how this is set up and how it works with our tools. Okay, so when you have this installed in your environment, it takes you to this main dashboard, and the first most important thing to look at is our form designer. This is where that form's set up. I did promise and tell you that there's no code involved, and that's true. It's just a drag and drop style interface. I can just pick from simple configuration menus, and I can do things like adjust borders or styling, that type of thing. And it's that's all it takes to get this to look however I want. Here, let's make it a different background color just to show you how easy it is to do that. Okay, so I'll make it, let's just make it light green just for the heck of it. So I just pick that, hit save, and that's really all it takes. And then I had a tabbed interface, if you remember. Another thing that was really important is I didn't want to show all this information on the new form. So, how do I do that? I'm able to do that just with simple permissions rules. So, I can have this container, and all I had to do is say, make this writable on the edit display forms. And by omission, that means the new form's not going to show any of that team updates. So that's how you end up with a different form as far as what the customer fills out, the new form, versus those team updates. So that custom functionality is nice. And then at the top, if you remember, it's showing the customer name, request type. And all I had to do is put in this fragment at the top, and then I can format this however I want. Maybe I don't want the text size to be that big. I can make that look any way that I want. It's just very easy to work with and update. That's all that it takes. So as far as how these buttons look, the UI, that's entirely up to you. In fact, you could take this template that we're going to provide later today, and you can adjust these colors and make them maybe just a little more standard or however you wanted to do it. And then I can do things like the history field. That's where the logging was happening. That was a read-only field, right? I don't want anybody to edit it. I just need to display information. What do I need to do for that? I just set the permissions to read, and that's all it takes. And it just makes that where you can view the information and nothing else. So that's the form layout. I really like that aspect of the tool, especially considering there's nothing like that in SharePoint. Otherwise, fast, fluid, flexible, really easy to do. And you just drag fields out into the form, put them wherever you want. It's really just that easy. So very, very cool. Okay, and then we have the, yes, I'll lose my work. Then we have the email notifications. Let's get into that next. That's under alerts. And it's a simple if this, then that concept. So it's a trigger system. So based on certain conditions, we want emails to go out, right? So this is a list of those email rules. Again, you don't have this at all in SharePoint otherwise, but this tool lets you just through the UI say, okay, when an item's updated, in this particular case, I say when the status is changed to assigned, I want those emails to go out. I was showing you the screenshots of those emails, and I define who the recipient should be. Remember, there was an email field in the form. I'm just referring to that. So whatever they filled out in the form, it's going to go to that. And then I set up a template. So here's one that I set up. It said request assign. I just create templates for whatever I need. And then I can do formatting. I can even put in pictures or tables or things like that and make this look however I want. But this is part of that communication principle. So the email functionality is really key. It's excellent. It lets you define the content of the email using dynamic field information, do highlighting, formatting, that type of thing, and then very quickly and easily define what is the trigger that prompts that email to go out. Okay, so that's email notifications. And then there's a workflow part to it as well. So the machinery behind the curtain, if you will, the thing that's changing the status, responding to those buttons, that type of thing, that's the actions. And I really like this because it's so fast to work with compared to Power Automate, which generally speaking is a developer-oriented tool, and it's external to SharePoint. I have to go into an entirely different interface, and that takes time, and there's some complexity for that. In comparison, this is a simple interface where I just set up a few tabs, and I define a trigger condition. In this case, they say when the button assign updates to yes, when they click the button, I want to change the status to assign. And if you remember, that is that history log. And we've got some little snippet there to update that, append information into that log. Okay, so there's all those buttons in there. And then, we do a reset on some of those buttons, that type of thing. Not very many actions here. But that kind of shows you that. You remember there was a chart in there as well. And then also, remember there's some icons in the interface. So that's a really key part to it. You want to make sure it's visually appealing. You want to make sure that it's not just gray text on white background. You want to make sure things stand out. So you can actually pick out whatever icons you want. There are actually 250 icons in here. So you can map those to different statuses. Naturally, you can have whatever statuses you want. This is just demonstrating a concept that might be typical for a ticketing system, but that is really beneficial as well. So those are some of the tools behind the scenes. Okay, so there's a request dashboard. So the next thing I want to talk about, really the most important thing for you to do is to try this out, try the form designer, try these tools, and really the fast, easy way for you to do that is just to go out to our website, and you can just see if you click here, click try now for free. What I really recommend, because you can just do it within a couple minutes, if you click on online trial, all you have to do is fill in your name and email address, and it'll actually create a site within a couple minutes on our tenant that you can just log into and use this stuff immediately. What's better is if you even take the next step after that, which would be to install our trial in your tenant. So that's really all just from our homepage. You can just click on install. It'll walk you through the steps. Really easy to do that. So you can try all this. It's the full functionality of our tools. It's not limited other than it just times out after a certain period of time. And we've got lots of great resources on our site to learn how to work with this. And if you go in here, you can learn about, we do have training information. We have different levels of training you can do. So if you're wanting to really dig into the tools and ramp up quickly and have somebody help you along with that, we can do that as well. We also do have partners. If you are interested in perhaps having somebody build or set up the system for you, so doing it yourself, that's also another option. You can just send an email to us directly, and we'll be happy to help you out with that. So before I forget to do it, let's go ahead and jump to the shirts drawing right now, because I did promise that I would do a drawing for a shirt. So just use the questions interface. And what I'd like you to do is just give me a number from 1 to 100. Again, this is for folks in the US only. I'm going to pick whoever's closest, give you about 20 seconds. Just put a number into the questions interface, and I'll announce the winner here in just a second. Give you guys about 10 more seconds. Okay, I've got a winner. I've got Steve Dalhauser. You're the closest. He gets 23. Steve, if you can, please send me an email to willc@infowisesolutions.com. I need your shirt size and I need your address, and I'll get that out to you today. And just to show you a couple other examples before I forget, these are actual live customers that we work with that have customer support forms. I just want to show you that this is working and in place. And you can really have a lot of flexibility to make things look how you want. Here's an example where one's got some branding and they kind of have a side panel for this. But it's really easy to set up. And I hope this is something you consider doing. This is really otherwise not possible in SharePoint because normally you wouldn't have external forms, but we do provide that functionality as part of our tools. It's in our form designer, and the upper rightmost button, it says external form, and that's the functionality which simply unlocks that ability. So it's a really awesome feature. So we're going to stick around and chat to answer questions, but this does conclude our main presentation. We'll have this uploaded on YouTube later today. And also, additionally, we are going to provide the template. Just as a reminder, that will be available to you from our main settings interface. You just click on Install Business Solutions and then click on the Webinars tab. It'll be the very first box that you're going to see. I'll have that in there after our presentation. You can download this system and install it in a blank site in your own SharePoint Online tenant, and we'll have that today. So thanks a lot for everybody for joining. As I say, we'll keep the meeting rolling and we'll answer questions. So stick around if you want to chat with us, and we'll help you out. Thanks.